live in Southern Province. We are live on Wave FM radio, and that is on 98.7. Also live on our Facebook page. Remember, we are on 5FM Radio Zambia and the YouTube channel as well, 5FM Zambia. Your host, Zachariah Banda. Now, today we are going to have a conversation with a voice that you haven't heard in a long time on this particular platform. We are grateful to have him, and of course, bringing a lot more fresh air to the conversation of the current affairs of this particular country. Now, my guest is Mr. Brian Chisengalumbwe, who is president of United Front for a Strong Foundation Party. Long time, so many happy New Years, I have to say to you.
I must admit I'm not happy, Zach.
I know.
This has been my station. I love this station.
I know.
And I would really like, I'm so happy to be here when you celebrate your 20 years of being in existence. Because even at its formation, the initiators of the station were all my friends.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful under these very difficult circumstances that you've managed to stick it out and continue as a station. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And of course, we're happy to have you, especially, it's just 2 days after we celebrated, we clocked 20. We clocked 20 yesterday on the 1st of April. And to have you here, it's such an honor. And we're looking forward to having a conversation that brings different dimensions, because I know you for that.
No, thank you.
Politics, Zach. But different types of politics.
Exactly.
Thank you. Then, look, let's catch up, first of all. For a moment, I did think that, you must have, after the 2021 election, you must have taken a back seat just to observe how and see how the new government settles in, and maybe also see how they begin to implement some of their of the programs, and really you must have keenly done that. Just take us through that. I mean, what is it that you were hoping this government would do different, and have they done so? Have they lived up to your expectations?
That's a very good question, Zach. Essentially, before any political party gets into government, they give an indication of their line of thinking and as to how they will govern. You can call that a manifesto and so on and so, whatever you want to call it. For us to have formed a party, it meant that in the political sphere, there was no party that represented our position. And that position is one of coming into politics to transform, not to come into politics to conform. The problem most of our political leaders forming parties today, or new political players coming into politics, they believe that when you get into politics, you must conform. Now, when you come into Zambian politics, it is not dirty, Zach. It is evil politics. Politics that kills and destroys the people and the country. The country is on its knees because of the type of politics. So when we formed our party, we formed it with a view of transforming and not conforming. And therefore, our whole agenda, mindset and thinking was never about a quick growth. Because to get a quick growth, you must conform. Now, for us, the agenda was a transformatory agenda where you start by changing the way people think. Now, that means you've got to take a long time. It will take a long time for people to begin to see sense. Because the current structure of Zambian politics is not about bringing in a good government. It's about removing a bad government. So the political players have learned to teach the Zambian people to hate the government. When they hate the government enough, they troop in thousands and millions to a polling station to go and remove a government and put in another bad government. Because Zambians are not listening to the voice of reason. They are not listening to people that are giving solutions. Their entire focus is on the people that create the problems. And those people know that. So the format of forming a party and be famous is insult the government, put you in prison. The media comes running around. Everybody knows this particular this person arrested unfairly and so on. And soon the same agenda of negative politics continue. So when we started the journey, we never started it with any illusions about a fast growth. And that is because there will be a time when the Zambian people, the pain will be so much, they will look elsewhere for political leadership. Ours is to continue our message, suffer without support from the people, and focus on those who have already forked money out of the government, directly or indirectly, and have the money to campaign. And mind you, Zach, I can take you to 1964, where the problem started, under UNIP. When UNIP was fighting to remove the colonialists, they got money from miners, poor miners. They got money from farmers in Southern Province. They got money. Small businesses, because the African businessmen were not big. Those people donated their cars. They donated this, they donated that, and put UNIP in government. When UNIP got into government, it found money in the public coffers. So when they immediately started having elections, maybe in the first election, they went back to their people to support them. Second election, they were supported. Thereafter, things started going wrong. Where were they getting money from? They started getting money from the public coffers to campaign. And so there was a lot of money flying around. And in order to survive, they were paying off violent youths, not the decent youths, violent youths, to start suppressing the political views, alternative political views, to make it so difficult for Zambia's best brain, the most honest people, morally upright people, to join politics. And every government that came up does not ask money from you. A political party, Zach, is the same as a church. I sit in church and watch the poorest person going to put money in church. And look at how many churches we've built. Everybody in church supports the church. The same people in church come out of church and wait to be bribed by political money. The problem is we are bribed. We wait for vitenge and t-shirts. We are bribed to belong to a political party. If you arrive as a new party with a message, they ask you, where is the t-shirts and vitenges? So there are two issues here, very simple and straightforward. Every problem Zambia has an answer in the Bible. How are you supposed to deal with a politician? The politician, if you are poor in Shangombo, you are poor in Petauke, you are poor in... You are looking for very few things. Those things that will help you get a decent living, accommodation, shelter, food, education for your children. They're very basic. So when a politician comes, if you don't ask for those basics, how the politician will solve that problem, then you corrupt yourself by accepting chitenge and t-shirt. And I'll explain that chitenge and t-shirt for you. A same person who comes from church is a Pentecostal, is a apostolic. When they wear an apostolic uniform, they cannot wear a Catholic uniform. They cannot even keep a Catholic uniform because they have a sense of belonging. Now, when you come to politics, the same person will have a united front. No, we don't have vitenges. I won't use us as an example. Yeah. They will have a PF t-shirt. They will have anyone who can make t-shirts and vitenges, MMD, everything. They will have all of them. That's where Zambia's principle has died. And the politician has learned that we have made these people so poor, they have no clothes. If you want to advertise, use them as lampposts, moving lampposts. The same it says ShopRite, it's better. Buy a t-shirt, put it on a poor person. You are guaranteed he'll be walking around and he'll be wearing your t-shirt, even if he doesn't support that party. Arising from that, the ordinary people are not the problem. Zambia, the UNIP government did a wonderful thing. The first thing they did is educate our people. and people have gotten educated on public funds.
Yeah.
They got educated on public funds, and then they became comfortable. Instead of using their brains to join a party that will save the country, they go into hiding. They are all non-partisan. All the best brains in the country are non-partisan. Now, how do you grow a party without members? Because if you want to change Zambia, you must have a political party with high quality members who are proud to say we will lose or win the election with a united front. We are not going to vote like the masses, because your garden boy, your maid, are looking up to you, the owner of the house, the educated person, for direction politically. And then you find the owners of the house are sitting non-partisan because they want to be part of a winning team. Then when they see where the wind is going, they go to vote to remove a government, not even to install a government. 59 years later, have we learned that it's not an achievement to remove a government? That's been the easiest thing. We are top in Africa for removing government, but the worst in Africa for putting in good governments. So who's supposed to understand that simple formula other than the most educated people? Because if you believe in something, you should be able to stand up in any fora and say, I belong to the United Front and these are our principles, and stick to that. Then the politician comes and brainwashes the nation. Your vote is secret. This is what has killed this country. Your vote is secret. Now, Martin Luther King said, when you stop discussing matters that are important to you, just know that you are dying. Zambians are dead today. Dead psychologically because they live and sleep on problems. The entire social media, people are circulating the negativities of UPND failures. They are focused and obsessed with the failures of UPND. The failures of UPND in these 5 years are the failures of the nation. That's no longer important. What's important now is after UPND, where are we going to? We must find new leaders. Bible says, seek and you shall find. If you're not looking for leaders that will give you solutions, then what are you looking for? You are looking at leaders that cause the problems. Seek and you will find. Ask and you'll be given. Ask God for the right leaders and you'll be given. How can you ask if you are blind to listening to or deaf to listening to anything different from the problems? The entire social media, you get your phone, everything that's coming through your phone is about MMD failures. So you are all experts at identifying corruption. The biggest problem with that is that if you are experts at identifying corruption, it just says you have failed to find the root cause of corruption. Because when you find the root cause of corruption, why should you be discussing corruption every day as a topical issue? How corrupt is UPND? Seriously. Where I may not be with HH, but I fail to believe the man sleeps to steal, wakes up to steal. He never does anything good. So your opposition parties that purport to be politicians spend their energy investigating corruption. So if they're investigating corruption, at which point are they going to have a solution for the country? They wake up. No, this is what HH has done. This is what H has done. UPND this and that. I am not part of UPND, but I respect the votes the people gave. And because I am not corrupt, I don't even know how all this corruption, it's those who have been part of or indirectly part of corruption that speak corruption. So seek and you shall find. Knock and the door will be opened for you. What door are Zambians looking for? They're looking for the door of prosperity. If that door is opened, it means we must start looking at the light, not at darkness. There are only two things. Light and darkness doesn't mix. In Zambia, we are focused on darkness and asking for light. in your house. If you want, go home every day and walk around in the dark. That's what Zambians do. They live with a switch to switch on the light, but they can't even go and switch on the light. They are complaining about the darkness, and yet the power of switching on the light is in the hands of the Zambians. So a complete mindset is needed if the Zambians can change. And that's why God is punishing Zambia. All the electricity and the drought and all that, that's punishment. Now, if you can't even recognize punishment, then you will never come out of moving about or loitering in the wilderness. But I also want to point one thing out, Zach. This brainwashing, because we have to reverse the brainwashing first. That's a difficulty us as United Front have. You have to first reverse the brainwashing. It's so deep that even the churches, the bishops, the reverends, they are all caught up in this brainwashing. Your vote is secret. In America, they have an opinion poll. They go to a judge and say, at the current state, if we had an election, who would you vote for? The judge will say, no, I follow the principles of the Republicans. Another one will say, no, I follow the principles. They don't hide. Regardless of what you can tell me about any funny repercussions, there is no, your vote cannot be secret because it is not a static thing. It's dynamic. And when you are discussing your votes, you are able to exchange views and convince each other which way to go. But the politician was clever. Divide and rule. Tell them your vote is secret. Let them be dumb. Let them not open their mouths on politics. And every civil servant cannot talk. So if you look at the religion, the churches, all the churches, apart from the Catholic Church, who speak out, all the churches, even amongst themselves in a room, cannot discuss politics. To say, when you are discussing politics, you're simply talking about your preferences. So it starts from all the leaders who have influence. If the leaders who have influence in your society, they are supposed to be shepherds of a blind flock. Now, when you are a shepherd, you are standing, there's green pasture here and there's dry pasture here. And these are political parties. This group, which is in dry, parched land, this group of politicians don't know how to handle power. They are thieves, they are robbers, political prostitutes. Then this side, green pastures, are people who can handle power, morality, and so on. So the shepherd gets there, and there is light and darkness. And the shepherd tells the flock, no, you choose for yourself, as we can't talk about it, because my vote is secret. And so the flock, the ones who carry the most exciting things, are sinners, evildoers who give you money, vitenges and whatever. So the flock starts going this way. And Lord and behold, even the shepherds go the same way because they don't discuss. If they discussed in the boardrooms of the big churches in Zambia and say, what are our preferences? And they argue and share ideas, they are able to at least understand how to deal with their flock. They're not supposed to go to the flock in church and start saying, no, vote for this one. No. They follow values. The church follows values. Okay? Now, if you talk about values, you then come and say, okay, pastoral letters by the Catholic Church, have they been good? Yes, they've been good. But have they an effect? No. Because a pastoral letter identifies the problem. And what happens is every government since 1964 has ignored the pastoral letters. They've simply just ignored it. And they fight the Catholic Church up to the time they leave. So what is wrong with the pastoral letter? The pastoral letter does not guide the flock on where the green pastures are. Which parties or individuals are championing the values and principles of the church? That is very important. When a church leader, an influential church leader, Bread of Life, there is another one, Pastor Ngambi, whatever, all these influential leaders, when they say, I endorse the values of that party, they are not saying they are members. They are guiding their flock because they are influencers. When you say, I am guided by the principles, you are not picking the bad ones. Now, what that does, when influential people, let's go to law. There is our state council, Sangwa. Very influential man, respected by everybody. But if you were to ask, at least the little knowledge I have, and say, which party do you belong to? He's non-partisan. But discussing the problems of those party people that they are doing wrong. So when the leaders are all non-partisan and they are hiding, it means that those who are doing the wrong things are comfortable. Now, if the influential people in your society begin to endorse individuals and political parties, what happens is that now the others who are not endorsed by church leaders, influential leaders, lawyers, all these kasondes and in foundations and so on, when they start endorsing, those who believe in them will begin to follow. And those who are not endorsed begin to conform. For us to get an endorsement from the church, we need to change our ways. There is a difference between pastoral letters and endorsement. It's the endorsement that will guide the flock. We must stop apologizing for our political position, because as citizens, the political party, politics we fear, the politician we fear has only got one vote. The politician we fear is a citizen with equal rights with you. So why would you fear a politician? Why would you fear politics? Because it is only through politics that you will get to a level of good governance. Good governance comes through politics. And scripture says, first commandment, which is where Zambia fails completely, love your God with all your heart and with all your mind. When you love your God, the manifestation of God on earth is the church.
And do you think we don't?
And then...
And you think we don't?
No, look at how many churches we've built. But the conditions for God are combined with love your neighbor as you love yourself. The manifestation of the love of neighbor is good governance. What controls good governance is politics. So if you fail in the political sphere, you all run away and you are non-partisan, and you have bad governance, you are all sinners. Your love of God fails there, because the poverty you see, the children that have no food, shelter, and clothing, you, the Zambian people, have failed them because you are hiding your qualifications, your money, your resources. You take them to church and deny politics for good governance. They are connected.
Let me get back to my question about how you, as United Front for a Strong Foundation Party, rate the performance of the United Party for National Development in power. That's the UPND government. How do you rate it?
I'll be very fair to you. I'll use specific parameters.
Indeed.
Yeah. Let's go to the Constitution.
Right.
Let's start with Article 8 of the Constitution. National values. National values and principles. Okay. I just want to, there's some notes I'd taken some time back. Allow me just to take you slowly about rating the UPND.
Right.
All right. National values, Article 8 of the Constitution has national values.
Yeah.
Those national values embody our cultural values and our religious beliefs. Number one is morality and ethics. Go to the Catholic Church pastoral letters. UPND has failed on morality and ethics. What is ethics? Let me talk about morality. In our Constitution, without an army or anybody forcing you, where is the president's house? Simple, civics question.
Right.
Where does he live? State House. Where does the current president stay? In an undesignated residence. The same president goes and removes marketeers for trading in undesignated areas. Where is the morality and ethics? Number two, I'm going to structure it for you so that you don't think it's personal.
Yeah.
Number two, these are just simple examples. In government, PSs, are they allowed to trade with government? No. There's a code of conduct. The president is the chairman of IDC, and he's also the chairman of a conglomerate of his own companies. A lot of them, because he's a consultant and an accountant, whatever IDC does infiltrates into his private businesses. Therefore, there is a conflict of interest. Any businessman, good corporate governance will tell you there is a conflict of interest. That position he has and appoints the people that run those various institutions in the government conglomerate. They can close down companies, give contracts to friends, and so on. The first thing the president should have done is says, this law, whoever put it there is wrong. The president can never be the chairman of a conglomerate of companies because that's not what he was voted for. The person who voted for President Hichilema in Senanga, Senga Hills, Ikeleng, he did not vote for him to run a business for government. They voted for him to concentrate on sorting out the problems. So on morality and ethics, I'm using the leader of UPN.
Yeah.
On morality and ethics, it fails. Number two, patriotism. Patriotism is the love of your nation. Now, you can see the lack of patriotism, first and foremost, when the topical issue is corruption. Patriotism is faith in your government. Corruption comes in when you have no faith in the government improving your lives. So everybody who goes into government is stealing to distance their children and everybody from poverty. So on patriotism, the government is failing. National unity. Is Zambia a united country? Barotsi royal establishment asking for separation from Zambia. Why? Obscure, skewed development programs. Lusaka has tarmac roads in every compound, in every section, in every... Lusaka province is developed. Take a drive, go to Northwestern. Is it the same country? Where do you get national unity with such a skewed whatever? We should have been by now asking ourselves, the Barotsi royal establishment, are they mad? No, they've been talking of being left out in development, and that applies to all the provinces. It's even sad that all the other the chiefs in all the other provinces are not complaining for a decentralized, semi-autonomous system. They can decide, give them their money, they decide. Each province must be semi-autonomous. So today, it fails on national unity. There are 6 points under Article 8. I just browse through them quickly. Democracy. Who said there's a shrinkage of democracy? The pastoral letter from the Catholic Church. It's not me. Complete failure. Everything PF was doing to their friends is what the UPND is doing. So where does that democracy start from? If the Zambian people fear politics, fear to speak, then where is the democracy? We can go into democracy by going into the Bill of Rights. Freedom of association, is it there? No. Freedom of speech, is it there? No. Everybody is non-partisan. Your vote is secret. You can go through that, but we won't go through that. Because this is number 3 in the Constitution, and it's democracy and constitutionalism. Constitutionalism. UPND declared that the Constitution is bad, with all the laws that goes with our current Constitution. We are in the 3rd year of governing. What have they done about the Constitution? 0. So where are you going to rate them from? A complete failure. The failures of PF are the failures of UPND. And the failures of PF and UPND are the failures of the educated Zambians. They are unpatriotic. These are the failures. Number 4, human dignity. Go to any major bus stop in Zambia and go to an airport. An airport is clean. There are no cowboys. You can send your child through the airport. Go to any major bus stop. Is there dignity there? In the airport, there are 10 toilets being cleaned every 5 minutes. There are no people. At the main bus stop, where 5,000 Zambians go through, there are no toilets. If they are there, there are 2. At the airport with no people, there are 10. Where is the human dignity? When people are on a minibus, they are packed like sardines. A woman I don't know I'm sitting almost on top of her, touching her breasts, her hips. We are so squeezed like animals. Nobody even thinks that we could make a policy to have a standard on the buses. I need a seat. The fuel prices are going up. So they'll never come down. What is the alternative for the government? Improve the transport system, give it dignity. Let a PS with his suit, jacket, and everything park his car, jump on a bus, and rest assured he will get to his office without smelling or sweating. Without a boy who's wearing a pant and his underpant is out and his bums are in your face. That's dignity. What has UPND done about it? Zero. Transport minister? Nothing. Number 4 is human dignity and social justice, non-discrimination. The minimum wage in Zambia is discriminatory. It focuses on the employer, not the employee. It says domestic servants 1.3, shopkeepers 1.6, whatever. That's discrimination. Why are you discriminating? First of all, a domestic servant and the shopkeeper. They all need the same. A minimum wage is not for the government to go and start getting involved. Just put it at a level where everybody can enjoy a decent living. Now, the minimum wage itself is not supposed to be monthly because you are exploited. Every 3/4 of the laborers on sites and in most of these bars are exploited. They work more than 8 hours. Why? Because no matter how much you abuse a person, the government and says he's your slave, just pay him 1.3. What you do with him, we don't care. So a minimum wage, if it's not a salary, 5,000, 10,000, if it's below that, it must be hourly. The current minimum wage is 6 kwacha, endorsed by government, slave wage. So if you are living in a house and your maid comes to your house, has left home, no food for the children and everybody, no plates, nothing, comes to your home, there's a deep freezer full of food, full, 5,000 worth, 3,000 worth of meat. In the fridge, there's milk, there's everything. And then you want to say, this maid is stealing the food. No, the thief is you. You stole first. Because according to the Catholic Center for Theological Studies.
Yeah, JCTR.
Yes, JCTR, thank you. They put it at 10,000. Now, obviously, if we put it at 10,000 today, then the maids will be unemployed, the employers will have nobody, but whatever. So we don't put it at 10. Convert that to an hourly rate. You pay what you can afford. If you, Zach, can afford a maid for 2 hours to just clean your house and leave, why would you pay them 1.3 a whole day? They can have 5. That means you are increasing productivity when it's hiring. You are increasing productivity. And also, you create the ability of hard workers to beef up income. So a maid doesn't have to stay in one house the whole day. That's why the maids will come and start watching DSTV. Unproductive, both for the maid and if you are an idle mind, means they start checking the drawers. Then they'll take some spoons and so on to cover up. No plates at their house. They get some plates, hide this one there. Then they are simply get you haven't given them. Equity. So UPND fails. It doesn't even think about it. The vehicle it's using is a vehicle that brought down PF. Just a quick rundown. I won't go into the details. There is good governance, which of course good governance comes with the quality of life. The decisions UPND has made has reduced the quality of life simply on fuel. It's not about what the reasoning is. It's bad governance. People are getting, the quality of life has reduced. The food table has reduced because you cannot grow an economy. Zach, you can never grow an economy without a good salary for everybody, because the food table is your agricultural industry. There should be mealie meal, there should be steak, there should be milk, there should be chicken. All those are farmers. Now, if you remove all that, people can't afford. There's just mealie meal and kalembula. Who is going to grow agriculture? All those people who are they going to sell to? This one comes buys 2 tomatoes. That one comes buys 1 tomato. That one buys kopi mi saka salad. That's not an economy. A government's job is to figure out how everybody will get a minimum salary, 5,000 and above. whether it's hourly, whether the rate is hourly, 5,000 and above. When that happens, the mini meal, which is 380, is not a problem. So mini meal price, it has never been the problem. So to come and tell you that we are working out something that the price will go down, here's the truth. John 8 verse 31. The truth will set you free. UPND today, had it been an honest party, we wouldn't be thinking of removing them, because we can deal with the truth. What people can't deal with is lies. The problem is not the minimum price. The problem is poor salaries, poor earnings by businessmen. So it's a cycle. Everybody is poor. The only people who can claim some wealth are those who export. If you are selling anything to Zambians, clothes, whatever, how can you be proud today for people to be wearing Salaula? I would rather phase out Salaula, introduce Vitenges like West Africa, black people wear something new, what they actually bought and made themselves. Salaula as a culture, you're wearing Manchester United t-shirt. Some of the clothes you wear, the people died, they sent them to Africa. Mishingo, sorry, may I explain? Imishingo, when a person dies, the clothes he leaves are called Imishingo. When your whole nation wears Imishingo, it's sad. The cars are Salaula cars. By extension, if the people are wearing Salaula clothes, they are driving Salaula cars, then their leaders are Salaula. So time has come for people in Zambia to identify leaders that are not Salaula, leaders that have quality, integrity, to take the country forward. So I will not finish it, but I will just give you good governance, integrity, and sustainable development.
In summary, on this issue, United Front for a Strong Foundation says UPND has failed this far.
No, we haven't said it. I was giving you the record. The pastoral letter is a starting point.
Yeah.
The comments from ambassadors on the so-called shrinkage of democratic space. I mean, it's a joke. How does a democratic space shrink for PF? Zach, how does the democratic space shrink for PF? It is unbelievable.
It hasn't sunk for you?
No,
as a party?
It hasn't. It's the same problem. It's the same laws when PF was there and UPND are there. There's no shrinkage. There is just no democracy. Simple. Whether under PF or under UPND. There is no democracy.
And now here is the situation. I mean, we have a drought situation, right? Yeah. And the president, the head of state, has declared this as a national disaster.
Yeah.
And it's an issue of that needs to be treated with a lot of urgency.
Yeah.
And this is beyond control. I mean, if we're going to get into poverty, or if the levels of poverty will increase as a result of this climate change situation, that will simply mean that, there's more disaster, and it will be unfair to judge the UPND for increased levels of poverty as a result of drought, which obviously farmers have not.
True.
I mean, what? And now we have this load shedding situation, also as a result of climate change. This is a very difficult time for this country, and more difficult times are coming. Especially this year, and worse if the rains don't improve. And how do you then judge a party in power come an election year based on the fact that certain things are beyond their control? I mean, it's human, it's nature. And you still want to think, as United Front for a Strong Foundation, you still want to think that these will not be different from Patriotic Front. People will not judge them different from the Patriotic Front in terms of performance. But this particular government is faced with a lot of challenges that are global, some of them, and some are nature.
Yeah.
And they are still asking for more time,
Yeah.
How do you think that they will get out of this?
They can't. Getting out requires wisdom. A nation A nation is punished for the sins of the leaders. And when you have democracy, the responsibility of putting people in power with a vision, with a direction, with a plan to lead the people. You can lead people into a war, die in thousands, as is in Ukraine, patriotic to their country. They are dying, but they're not blaming the leaders. Death is not the problem. The problem is having no faith in your leaders. Now, when you talk of wisdom, individually, there is wisdom, then there is the collective wisdom. If Zambia is not thriving, then it is not a wise nation. I didn't say it's not wise. If it's not thriving, it's not a wise nation.
Do you think that even the fact that the current president and the former head of state are not even in talking terms, there's tension between the two? I mean, does that make it worse for this country?
No. The two individuals are totally irrelevant at this point in time. It's what comes out of them.
They are leaders.
Focus.
Yeah.
They may be leaders, but they don't have to be friends. Why would I be a friend to a person whose values we don't share? Do you have a friend who smokes chamba, does what, and you want to be a friend of his? No, not being friends is not being enemies. To be friends, you should be relaxed and the person is adding value. If HH, or let me start the other way, Lungu's values were not compatible with HH. So he didn't tolerate him at all. So HH becomes president. Now, Lungu had set a standard. It's not about forgiving Lungu. The two just have different value system.
But also wisdom, but also
nothing.
collective wisdom comes with collective wisdom, I believe, comes with the fact that you've got to put the nation first.
What's
right?
that got to do with the two people being friends? You are
there's a strong belief.
You are ignoring
there's a strong
suffering
belief.
Zambians who suffered under. You want to waste your time discussing their relationship. That is irrelevant. Doctors are underpaid, nurses are underpaid, civil servants, police are underpaid. Corruption is all over because of poor salaries. Why would you want to waste your time? People who went in government came out rich. Their fridges are full. They've got 60-inch color TV. The average person's got nothing to live off. 1 meal a day. If when UPF came in, those who were taking 1 meal a day, it is either halved, then Shima is half because they can't afford them. So the idea of discussing the relationship between the two is totally irrelevant. The current president's job is to deliver. Leave IDC, the business arm, out of it. Deliver to the Zambian people. Let me bring up another issue relating to governance.
And he is delivering, no?
You see, a politician, the delivery of a politician, you must be able to understand it very well.
You can tell he's delivering on the mines. You can tell he's delivering on CDF and taking resources like your wishes. Take resources to the people.
You end up starting a Pandora's box. Anyway, let's get a little bit in the Pandora's.
Yeah,
I'll
sure.
deal with the issues you've mentioned.
Yeah,
CDF.
Yeah. Let's talk about them.
Yeah. Now, a leader, a visionary leader, thinks about the next generation. A desperate leader thinks about the next election. And so what that leader will do will tell people, I'm going to give you this, a welfare state. I'm going to give you this for free. I'll give you CDF. I'll give you this. We've increased that. We've increased this, whatever. Those are not bottom line issue to look after the next generation. The debt restructuring you are mentioning is not an income generating issue. It's a postponement of a problem. I would not even sing United Front with debt restructured, because the day you came into office, somebody had to restructure it. Who else would do it? It's not an income generating thing. The things you should begin to look at are the things that are going to change the life of a person today and their next generation. If you can find me those things that UPND had done, the entire CDF, there is no component to do with rebuilding stadiums, in it, recreational facilities, swimming pools, tennis courts.
They are not
There's
a priority right now. Those are not a priority right now. I think the stomach is. In the situation that we are in now. No?
Okay.
Yeah.
That is where you make the mistake.
Okay.
Recreation is actually death or life. Did you know that sport is medicine?
I know so.
Yes. So if everybody's got no recreational facilities, look at Lusaka. What is being built? If you don't build recreational facilities, what is being built? Bars. Travel Lusaka at night, bars. They are being built instead of stadia. They are being, new bars are coming up, more sophisticated. Cars are parked all over. People are spending thousands, and the children are dying. They are paying their maids 1,000 and go and spend 20,000 at bars. So when there are no recreation of, what are they watching? They are watching Manchester United. In Manchester United, the people who are watching here have more talent than the people in Manchester. But what are they watching? In Manchester, the stadium is full. The people are not drinking. They are watching recreation. Today, Kundananji and Barbara Banda, highest paid sports people in the world with no football league. The kind of talent we have is so amazing. Kundananji tomorrow will start sending money here to build a house for the mother, to do this. Carpenters will get jobs immediately. If you had the vision Europe has, you would start with your recreational facilities. All the money you are throwing around in the constituencies, because every youth would not be looking for beer. You will start identifying his talent. When children, young people find their talent, they are boxers. There are some who are talented like Kundananji. The girls, they are all looking up to her. How do they get to Kundananji's level? If the Shinde Stadium is neglected, Railway Stadium in Kawe neglected, the golf club in Chipata neglected, the golf club, all these things were left, we've gone backwards. When the money comes for CDF, you are building infrastructure, ignoring the people. Wrong policies, totally wrong. CDF is working. How do you give a bursary on a selected person? In Kaunda's days, a bursary was defined. They say, pick the top students, take them to David Kaunda. They'll get everything free there. Hillcrest, they'll get everything free there. Now, there's this selection of people squeezing in their relatives. There's no standard on giving bursaries. You can give bursaries, yes. The whole thing is ill-conceived. The money that is being given to societies and so on, they are not even measured on their capabilities to bring back the money. Public money is not free money. When you have a government like that, it's heading for the next, it's only worried about the next election. How can CDF be increased? You're not repairing recreational facilities. Where are the children? They're in bars, drinking. How do you call your own child a junkie? How do you start calling your own child a junkie? The parents have no work. Whatever, the child wakes up, there is 8 hours a day, no recreation. There may be no jobs, but if there was recreation, the children would go there. How do you be proud that we are now feeding so many children in schools? We are giving them food. Why? The parents no jobs. So you keep on increasing the food to more schools as more parents have no job. Where is the dignity of a person failing to look after his family? Where is the dignity? We are looking in the wrong place with the wrong leaders. You are looking in the wrong place. CDF is not a solution, it's a problem. It is not a solution, it's a problem. When you are rich, you can CDF 100 million to give every house $100 or something. If you are very rich, you are broke. On the one hand, you are debt restructured. You have no money to pay your. On the other hand, you are increasing social services on the wrong thing. If you invest in sport, Kundananji, Mia Piri, they went to the All Africa Games. Zambia was reaping awards, 400 meters relay team. Does Zambia know? We focus on the wrong things. They are talking of debt restructuring. We won in the relay team. We had the boxers who are winning. That talent is money. Mayweather would earn 30 million in one fight. If he was Zambian, 30 million comes here. What would happen? Where is the CDF? We have more talent here than the minerals in the ground. That's what we have. We've destroyed what is in our face to build the human being. Everything to do with building the human being is ignored. We are trying to, the UPND strategy is basically MMD. Allow us to fix the macroeconomics, then there will be a trickle-down effect. Just wait, you will feel it. A nation that waits dies. If you jump in a bus, it's going nowhere, and you sit there and you don't see any problem, time doesn't worry you, then just know you have a problem. Zambian men are the biggest problem. The issue, a man, the first role of any man is to protect his family. Then his next role is to protect the community. The next role is to protect the nation. Zambia today is like Gaza and Ukraine. The enemy is not external. Our enemy is internal. We can't figure it out. The enemy is internal. Everybody who's non-partisan is an enemy to the country. Non-partisan means unpatriotic. When you become, the phrase active politics, when you go to church, everybody donates to the church. That's excellent. Look at how many churches we've built. We are supposed to be building institutional political parties. When you come to the United Front and give us 1,000, that I like what you're saying, we want to help you. When you give it to United Front, I get to Chisengalumbwe. I didn't come for your 1,000 kwacha. I came to get into the minds of the Zambians, to wake up and begin to see that we are going in the wrong direction. The drivers are drunk. They are taking us in the wrong direction. We will crash again. Get out of the bus. Look for a bus with a sober leader. And let's start afresh. It's you. You are not joining a party. That party is you. That is your contribution to your nation.
So the UPND government, I will be taking calls in a short while, but also let me remind our listeners that our guest this morning on Tuesday's edition of The Burning Issue is Mr. Chisengalumbwe, who is president of the United Front for a Strong Foundation. And so what obviously the president says on debt restructuring is that, look, this unlocks. It was a bigger problem. It was squeezing our necks, our stomachs, and everything. But debt restructuring gives us room to breathe, gives us room to take the money that we're supposed to be paying in huge amounts, at least take it to development. I mean, it's the beginning of unlocking the economy. You believe this is still a drunk leader who is taking us nowhere when he is able to clearly state what debt restructuring means to this country's future, because the future begins now, but also it begins by getting such relief in debt restructuring.
Yeah, when you use the word debt restructuring, it's a postponement of a debt.
Yeah.
Now, there is doubt that is any government with an iota of salt, because we see PF could not debt restructure because they were the problem. So when you come in with a new government, don't forget, it's not the intelligence of the president, it's the bureaucracy of Zambian government. We've got the most educated people in there. They will structure it for you. I have no knowledge of whether his influence abroad does anything, but it doesn't change anything. Now, when you're doing debt restructuring and you want to unlock the economy, you have to also first bear in mind, what is the economy? Is it the economy? Which comes first, the economy or the people? It's the people. Who builds who? Does the economy build the people, or the people build an economy?
The people build the economy.
So you got to restructure the people. So if you do the debt restructuring and you postpone a debt, you must begin reorganizing. And one of the first places you start your reorganization is government and reduce the costs. Now, when you do debt restructuring and you are employing more people in government, policemen, nurses, and so on, increasing the government cost, which consumes most of the budget, what is the value of that debt restructuring, especially when you talk about growing the economy? Zero. At the same time, you also go to your private sector, which has a role to play, big role to play, and you start destroying the private sector. In the milling industry, you give a military to start milling against the price of the private sector. You go to tourism, you set up the tourist board, you start having lodges competing with private sector. You go to media, you strengthen ZNBC to destroy the media that the strong media people are struggling without government support. So when you're talking about debt restructuring, the first thing, I don't even, you and I have never been in government, but debt restructuring comes with reduction of government. You can reduce the government bill by getting people out of there who do not need to be under the government umbrella. Doctors, for one. Doctors have a product that doesn't need government. You can throw a doctor in Shangombo. As long as the government can pay for the people, the doctor will thrive. You can throw a teacher in Senga Hills, in any village. They want education, they want knowledge. The only thing the teachers need is for the government to pay for the students. So the government can cut down the size of government by beginning to think differently, because the size of government has overgrown the economy. So you can't debt restructure and you are growing the government. Consumption on administration, moving paperwork is increasing. You're going to increase. So if you don't create employment, you have to employ more policemen. So the whole economy is wrongly structured. So when you debt restructure and you are increasing your expenses, where are you going to find money for bursaries? Nowhere. Because Kunda Nanji, Barbara Banda, Mia Piri, the boxers are cash cows. They are not tomorrow cash cows. No, the money will start moving into our economy. I'm using micro little things, but when you exponentially increase those numbers in that area, so it's not only in sport, in music, you can export music, you can grow this. So the economy and you have to deal with issues of disposable income, because disposable income is what improves the quality of life for people. Because when you listen to the president, he is talking as if the good old days of ZCCM will come back. They will never come back. Even if those minds thrive, they will never build communities. The communities will be built through Ministry of Local Government, sports, art, music, recreation. The biggest and most important minister is the local government minister, because schools and all these things are under him. So if the local government minister takes charge of all the recreational facilities, we will deal with the youths. You don't start building drug rehabilitation centers without recreational facilities. You're chasing your own tail. So the debt restructuring song, I can't refuse. Congratulations. But tell me what that will do for the poorly paid nurse, the domestic servant. It will do nothing. Today or 20 years from now, it will do nothing. We're not discovering oil by debt restructuring. No, we are pending a problem. Now, if you're a generational leader, you've got to get the people today to behave in such a manner that they'll move this country to a level where their children's children will be better than all of us. That's why I left all my business interests, stopped everything. I said, God has given me a vision. I am going to speak it out, poor or not. My children have had a bad education because we have no money. I came with a minibus. I'll go with a minibus. I won't die. But if I can touch a soul somewhere, a soul that can wake up and say, hey, I never thought about this, then we'll start moving as a country. It is slow. This type of politics where every day we are discussing the problems. You go to the newspapers, problems. And and if you go to the newspapers, every minister is scolding somebody. Every minister is scolding. Every PS is angry at somebody. You watch ZNBC, someone is angry at. So who is in charge of why are you angry? It's the systems. They are all rotten. You got to completely change the systems. Let everybody start developing the country, not the president alone. It's not about, for me, I have never felt like I have a president, because in every speech, it's new dawn. You are in government, and we all agree you are the party and president in government. So speak for me also. Don't tell me new dawn, this new dawn, that new dawn. Just say, we've opened a factory. We've done this. And most Zambians are intelligent enough to know that the ones in government are UPND. So don't rub it in. You are a president of the country. Rule the country. We are not going to argue about that. I can sit here and give alternatives, a different way of thinking. But my president is HH. My party in government is UPND. Don't remind me at every step. That begins to irritate me and ostracizes those who are not UPND.
My guest this morning on the Burning Issue, Tuesday edition for that matter, is Mr. Brian Chisengalumbwe. He is president of the United Front for a Strong Foundation. I will take phone calls on 0955-221515, just so you can have an interaction with our guest, and also send us your messages on 0761 912493. Once again, the number is 0761 912493. The numbers that you are calling us on is 0955-221515. I will take a short break just now, and we will be taking your calls just after that.
Let's celebrate, loving each other, needing each other.
5FM Radio celebrates 20 years of quality broadcasting this April 2024. Take advantage and advertise with us as we offer you a 50% discount. You heard that right. 50% discount as we celebrate 20 years of quality, mature, and balanced reporting, as well as education and entertainment. Call marketing on 0211-221515 or 0977-566-358. 5FM Radio, the station you'd love to sing along to for 20 years on air. The radio station you can enjoy with your family.
Together, we can end period poverty.
Did you know that the number of girls enrolling into schools has increased since the free education policy was introduced?
Did you also know that majority of girls miss about 20% of their school year because they do not have what to use during their menstrual period?
And that most girls drop out of school for that same reason?
But we can all be part of the solution to ending this problem
by joining 5FM Radio's SI Breakfast, Gift a Pod, Keep a Go in School initiative.
This initiative is aimed at helping vulnerable girls stay in school even during their menstrual period.
They're therefore accepting donations of sanitary ware of any kind and quantity.
Drop your donations off at 5FM Radio at Interchem House along Kabelinga Road opposite Levy Mall.
Together, we can end period poverty.
The National Health Insurance Management Authority, NEMA, hereby informs the public that with effect from the 1st of January 2024, the buyback option will no longer be available. This means that newly registered NEMA members will not be able to simply pay for the previous 4 months as means of gaining immediate access to NEMA-insured health services. Instead, they will be required to undergo a 4-month waiting period from date of registration, during which they're expected to make 4 consecutive monthly contributions for their NEMA accounts to be activated for use. Register and start contributing today. Don't wait until you fall sick. National Health Insurance, leaving no one behind.
NEMA, health insurance.
Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue is what you are listening to, and my guest this morning is Mr. Brian Chisengalumbwe, who is president of the United Front for a Strong Foundation. And I'll be taking your calls now on 0955221515. You're sending your messages, both via SMS or indeed WhatsApp, to 0761 912493. For your phone calls, it's 0955 221515. Good morning, Mr. Zach, and I've got a message here. Good morning, Mr. Zach and the guest. What do you think of the sale of Mopani Copper Mines of 51% and we say equity partnership? What is all equity about this deal? What was it done legally, or it should have first gone to Parliament before arriving at this particular time? The president declared a national disaster due to poor rainfall in some parts of the country, meaning food shortage. But his information minister says we are food secure. Who should we believe here? But again, we had 1.5 million metric tons of maize from the previous harvest achieved by the then PF in government. Are we not a laughing stock to auction the maize, ask for food aid from the international community at the same time? All right, so let me take this call. Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very fine. How are you, Mr. Moderator?
I'm very fine, thank you. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
Yeah, this is Philemon calling you from Chitulika, Zambia.
Yes, Philemon.
Thank you. Good morning, Bwana guest there.
Philemon, have you been listening to the program? I have a name. I've just heard your name. I'm saying Philemon. You
Yes,
don't
I'm
know my
Philemon.
name. You don't. So
Oh,
you are
I
not
know.
listening. Why do you want my opinion if you are not even bothered to know my name?
I didn't say I was not get. I know that you are Mr.
Mwala Tukana, let me tell you, I am Brian Chisengalumbwe, president of the
Chisengalumbwe.
United Front for a Strong Foundation.
Okay, you can pardon me for not addressing you. Those whatever you want. You can pardon me for that.
No,
Yes,
you are
go ahead,
you are
go ahead,
forgiven.
Mr.
Go ahead.
Philemon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And allow me to disagree where you, I think much emphasis is on recreation. Let me tell you,
Mm-hmm.
recreation, you cannot go on the pitch on an empty belly. Because you see, the new Dawn government, under these problems, imagine the Bamanga Stadium, you will be the first one to say, Vakula Stadium, we said the Avantu Alefu and Insala, Kukudu Mwezi, Kukuchanu, Kunamwa, Alefu and Insala. You will be the first one. And you cannot go on the pitch on an empty belly. First of all, the new Dawn government, what they have done, music implements, equipment, zero tax, whatever rate, which means, on the other hand, there is a political will on recreation. Even in my sport, you can even hear the president is bragging on each and every platform you are given. He says there is no minor sport in this country. What does it mean? That is political will. They want to look into this issue. So you are pushing an open door. All these things are already in place. They are in our pipeline. So coming to the high cost of living, this high cost of living, which anybody want to look at it, you know, these are legacies that were inherited. Now we cannot condemn the previous regime because all the mechanisms are in place. Number one, we are not going to rely on this rain-fed agriculture. Solar equipment, solar accessories, solar equipment, whatever, are zero rated, which means agriculture now can be done even during dry season, even this time from the studio there. You can go to any bank. There is this credit window. You can go to any bank. You'll be given this facility I've mentioned. You can start growing maize to enhance food security. So this thing of saying high cost of living, it needs collective effort. That's why the head of state said, for this debt restructuring, it needs our collective effort. Coming to this my infrastructure. The New Dawn government, we've got a plan, PPP model. What does it mean? When the government is financially constrained, this is a way to go. Even these Mascadia are talking about Mascadia, volleyball courts can be done under the PPP model. This man, this is some dollar. A government cannot build Manchester ground, Arsenal ground. These things are in the private entities. So what is needed now? The PP model should be supported. Even yourself, if you've got the resources, you can build up a recreation facility, and then we'll be making a lot of money. How we are going to grow the economy.
Thank you, Philemon. Thank you, Philemon. Because thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can I give you one more call on 0955 2214 rather? Good morning.
Zachariah Banda.
How are you today, Professor Ngwale?
How are you, President Chisengalumbwe?
Professor, how are you?
I am Elijah Ngwale,
Yes.
senior blind student, recipient of 24 October 2021, the Presidency Insignia of Honor, and in 1976 graduate of the University of Zambia.
That's serious. Yes, sir.
Mr. President, in the first place, I would like to subject you to accolades in Comia and the panegyrics for the manner you have been explaining
Thank you.
issues. However, since you are there, let me say, however, your explanation is so sophisticated to people.
Yes.
So sophisticated that I'm not trying to be apocalyptic or eschatological, but I'm speaking from the bottom of my heart. It will even be too difficult for you to get officials to go with in your party so far as the ideology is concerned. I'm not saying it's bad. Can you get me correctly? It's punctuated, perforated, and pervaded with utopia. And utopia is something that helps people to progress. Even in the Bible itself, the Bible, there's a lot of utopia there.
Yes.
It's something that, but my piece of advice is this. Why can you not consider coming up with what we call a think tank, where you are going to build these things? For example, one thing I've learned from you, politics of transformation, because we are all engaged in politics of conformity. Conformity, want to conform. Now, why they want to conform?
Yeah.
Why don't we? This idea of removing government, you want to put, not removing bad government, you replace it with a bad government. Your worker, especially our names, our minus you. But I'm 2026. You want to replace this bad government with another bad government. So ideas you have, but I think they would do more to develop this idea much more than doing that. They're doing that now. In other words, if you can get a number of pandits, gurus, luminaries of your caliber, see what are we going to do to transform the system, because the system which is here now is not good. Otherwise, insofar as I'm concerned, you are a source of aspiration, inspiration, and inspiration. What you have said, what you have presented is thought-provoking, thought-invoking, and thought-igniting. And I wish you every success in your endeavors. Continue with that. But think of having a think tank. This one, you'll find it very difficult to work with people. It's only people like Mpombo and Ngwale who could do things Mpombologically and Ngwale-logically who would work with you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, Professor Ngwale, right there, and I appreciate your contribution. Let me give you one more call, then I give you an opportunity to respond to all those. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I'm the Mr. President.
Good morning. Your name, sir, and where are you calling us from?
This is Moses. I'm calling you from within your stack.
Moses, please go ahead.
Sorry, Moses. First of all, Moses, sorry. Do you know my name?
Yeah, Chisenga, you know, I come from
Yo,
Eastern,
no,
so
answer my name at Bwand.
Chisenga.
You see, you put the tick on the wrong place. I'm Brian Chisengalumbwe.
Oh, not Chisengalumbwe.
No.
Chisenga. Okay.
Okay.
Now, coming to the topic, I think we are getting you very clearly. I want to disagree with my uncle that they called you to say, no, find the think tanks. The think tanks are the ordinary people like ourselves here in the compound. Because we as the people are suffering. So when we hear people like you are saying, we are coming to transform, we are coming with this politics of transformation, we are so glad because what Zambia needs now is a transformation. Now, I don't know how we are going to manage that because when you form government, you are going to the same civil servants who have been giving us problems when we go to the clinic instead of giving us better treatment and treat us. You are going to find the same cops when you report, they tell you to say, so manje transformation muzakaikwanisa bwaji kuyambira mu government yanu mukaifominga otherwise nakukonkhani maningi and there's nothing like you are speaking the language kumwamba yakuti ngakane kutanda latimvetisa maningi wa president CDF zone I think accountability despite zitachape kukonzela kamboti ichitachani amtani mamilioni haya what is the way to show? So development in conclusion should be holistic. Mwamini mukambia. Mwaikamo voice in education iri munde development. Ziko mutimbele.
Ziko Mkwambele. I'll give you, they're not questions, but just comments on you and what you have articulated. Just by the way, so that you can start responding. Michael White. Chunika says, well, I like the way he talked about sports stadium, how it can help our youth can be superstars through sports. And Richard Banda says, this guest has a big blessed brain. People should actually take seriously what he has articulated, especially on the minimum wage. So then you can now respond, react to those that you feel you need to spend time on.
My boy was just going at what was his name, the last one?
Moses.
Moses.
Yeah.
Oh, let me start from Moses.
Right.
Moses, first and foremost, the civil servants have never been the problem. They are the most patriotic people. Civil servants, you're talking of police and so on. What confuses the civil service is politics and political interference. The day we allowed the president to start appointing civil servants into the civil service and foreign service, that's the day we created problems. Because it's not possible that a president who was on the streets yesterday can come into government and start looking for people who can run the government better than civil servants. No, the civil servants have never been the problem. It's a politicized civil service. So the solution goes back to the constitution, which UPND has failed to deal with. Go at the powers of the president to interfere in the civil service. They can run this country, and the people's confidence is in the civil service. Let me tell you something that you may not have thought about at all. Tribalism in Zambia is non-existent in that it is irrelevant and has no impact. What causes a problem when you say tribalism is when a president comes in, starts changing civil servants and PAs, directors, and putting in tribesmates and the civil service. There are those people who now have failed to be promoted, report the other one because the president is appointing. When you professionalize the civil service without political interference, the president can appoint a whole cabinet of his family. There is no problem. We are looking for delivery. If the president is Tonga today and he doesn't appoint a Bemba, but everybody in Northern Province has food, what's your problem? Who cares who the president appoints into his cabinet? It's irrelevant. What is the problem is that when the president interferes in the foreign service and in the civil service, take away those powers, let him appoint his tribesmate, whichever president. That's not the issue. We're dealing with the wrong things. The civil servants are victims of poor governance. Get rid of that power. That's what the UPND and the president are avoiding, to take away those powers. They believed by, you know what appointing a civil servant is? Zach, I get you tomorrow. I make you a civil permanent secretary. I'm putting you on top of public funds. The money for the country is now in a politically appointed person. A civil servant is a person who should tell a politician, I won't do this because it's not part of our system. If you get him from outside and put him there, he will try and find ways to support the party that has put him there to abuse public funds. When it comes to election time, they're selecting contractors that are friendly to the party. So there is total confusion. So Moses, it's not, problem has never been the civil servants. The problem is the politician, and the problem beyond that is the constitution. Any government that will never change this constitution is not patriotic, period. That's the beginning of the destruction of the country. And he mentions, which touches on Professor Ngwale, the issue of ordinary citizens getting involved. You see, Professor Ngwale does make one point, that maybe my language is a bit sophisticated. I don't think I'm sophisticated. I've just tried to read a lot. My language may sound a bit complicated and sophisticated because the agenda we have as United Front is to reverse the rot which was created in the past. The previous government wanted to get ordinary people with inadequate education or capacity to go into government. We have to reverse that. One of our fundamental principles is to get the educated people in Zambia, those who have enjoyed free education. They are professors, they are doctors, to get them to provide leadership to the people. And they cannot all be politicians. But if you're not a politician and you've benefited from the country, you have to have a political vision. You must pick a party that aligns with how you think. You're sending a 50 kwacha tomorrow to United Front, 100 kwacha, whatever. There are people who are active politicians. They will champion your cause. Even if a church decides, get a budget of 5,000, give it to those people are going to fulfill our agenda. That's how you support a party. You can't have a nation of people who are non-partisan. So our message, without taking it away from Zambians, educated or not, they can tell a good message from a bad one. So for me, I cannot begin to reduce the content. If you say debt restructuring, how would the ordinary person understand? It means who is being addressed. It's the educated Zambian. So if he doesn't like the message of the restructuring and likes the message of Chisengalumbwe and United Front, you must ask yourself, how can I support those people? I have got a house in Senanga. I can give it to the party. You can go around free in your mind that when I send 50 kwacha, the same way you do to church, when you send money to the church, you are not there to run those monies daily, but the results show the churches are beautiful. Whatever. How can a nation build such beautiful churches, be such Christians, and they fail to build a single party? Those parties, ask yourself, churches get money from the members. So if the opposition has no members, how will it grow? Don't complain about the opposition. How do you grow a party without members? I've got a team of 10 people, dedicated 10 people. I'd rather have 10 people than have cadres and defectors, 100 of them. Both the PF and UPND have thousands of defectors. A defector is a traitor. So that represents darkness. We are operating from a principle of light. So Moses, the transformational issue is not an option. That transformation is not in government alone. It's in the minds of Zambians. Then Professor Ngwale, thank you for the accolades. He talked about sophisticated language. But how do you create a think tank when all the thinkers are non-partisan? You can't create a think tank. They're scared. Before the rising of Jesus, all the apostles were running away. They denied Jesus. But afterwards, when the fear came out of them, they started speaking fearlessly. I can go to prison today. What will it change? It will mean that the process towards thinking straight has been reduced. Those have succeeded. So fear to send money to a political party is like sending money to a church. To love your God and love your neighbor, the most important thing we have to do is clean up the politics. If you have a political environment full of political prostitutes, recycled politicians, and so on, and you are all watching, politics belongs, there are no names in the constitution that, oh, politics in Zambia, there will be Membe, there will be Silavwe, there will be this, there will be this. No, those names are not in there. In the constitution, it says you are free to speak. Choose a side and belong to it. There are two things you got to belong to. You got to belong to a church and belong to a party. When you say belong to a party, you are belonging to ideas. If you have 10 kwacha, take it. The way you take to church. If you have 1 kwacha, take it. Airtel money and all these modern methods are there. A church, a political party doesn't have a gathering place every Sunday. It just moves until election time. But if you're not moving in that 5 years, by election time, you can't be anywhere. So if you all Zambians are waiting to remove UPND in 2026, they will all be rich by 2026. What about you? If you want to remove UPND, start looking at who you're going to put in. Sorry, let me just quickly, I'm sure there are callers.
Yeah.
Philemon and the first caller, Mopani and Equity and all those things. You see, for me, I don't take too much interest in symptoms. These are symptoms of a bigger problem. For me to attack UPND over Mopani and so on, the amount of research required for me to make a reasoned comment is too much. I don't have the resources to start analyzing. And I will not depend on opposition party members to tell me this. Maybe they have got something they know I don't know. That's why when you are fighting an elephant, you come from different. This is not my expertise. For me, this won't transform Zambia. Philemon disagrees with me on recreation. He thinks youth should just go and drink. And he talks of PPP, public-private partnership, where the government, when you create recreational facilities in the communities, that's PPP, in the sense that those facilities, when they are there, all you do is that there will always be a contribution from the members. When you pay your rates, you pay 2 kwacha for the land you are on, for garbage collection, or 5 kwacha, then you pay for your children. That I want my child to do tennis, I also pay 5 kwacha. That money goes to the council. That's PPP. You are partners with the government. But when the people have no money, which Philemon was right, when the people have no money at all, it's very difficult to move things. But it doesn't mean you stop heading in the right direction. If we agree recreation is good, let's start by repairing 1 stadium, 1 tennis court, 1 rugby pitch, because not everybody loves football. If everybody loved football, there would be no tennis, there would be no karate, there would be no judo. So I think for Philemon, I can only assume that you are giving a different view, and that's the issue of unity in diversity. No, thanks.
Let me take a last batch of calls, and then we conclude. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mr. Jack?
I'm well, thank you. Your names and where are you calling us from?
I am Mr. Teddy Gajabe, calling you from Mazabuka District, Magoe, and the Kalama Siowi area.
Mr. Gajabe, last time when you called, and I think that there was an issue that you raised about your constituency not being developed. Your member of parliament contacted me. I'm in touch with your member of parliament. So this number that you've called on, you should send me an SMS of your number. Your member of parliament would like to have a conversation with you and show you what development is in your area.
Okay,
so send me a message on this number that you've called on. But for now, go ahead, sir.
All right, thank you. Good morning, Mr. Brian Chisengalumbwe.
Twalumba Bagajabe muli bute.
tuli kabotu mwami tikamuli kabotu
tuli kabotu kuno ku Lusaka.
Kalumba. I would like to register my feelings concerning the opposition political parties in our country. The problem that I have found is that we are not offering checks and balances in the manner that will satisfy us, the Zambian people. Instead, we have dwelt on condemning and criticizing everything that the current government can be doing. So sure, how can CDF be a problem, according to to my president there? CDF, which has come down to the communities, how do you describe it to be a problem? Now, you are talking about people squeezing in minibuses where you almost sit on top of a woman and another one with bums without an underpants, all that kind of a thing. What does it help me in this situation of hunger and expecting a president like you to lead me in the future? You are talking about doing away with Salaula, where we are spending on our clothes. And how many people are earning a living using that Salaula? Where are you going to get the factories to manufacture all the new clothes? You are talking about Kundananji kind of games, recreation. We are hungry now. There is only one national team at a time. How many Kundananjis are you going to have when people are suffering? You want to center on recreation. There is the hunger here. My brother there pointed out to you that how do you go on a pitch when you are on an empty belly? It can't be balanced. You are talking about desperate leaders that are worried about elections in 2026. Are you not one of them? Because what you are saying now is you are desperate. You want to win an election. You're just one of them. You are criticizing everything, including the president who is staying at his residence. Now, do you know the security reasons that he is looking at? Look at a president like President Chiluba, who ended up revealing the secret tunnels at his house there. Very responsible at that time. May he rest in peace in any case. Very responsible at that time. Revealing that facility, which has become a white elephant, and I don't know what he gained out of that. A top secret thing. Now, do you know why the president is staying at his residence? Do you know why he's going to, when he's going to go to State House? Because he's not a dull man, by the way. He is an intelligent man. So, what instances are surrounding his staying there? Can't we wait for a situation when we shall hear more about his staying somewhere else? Please, as the opposition political parties, let us have issues that will attract us, the Zambian people. Why can't you say 3DF is doing fine, except when we come to power, we will improve it in this and that manner? Now, for you, everything has become a problem. And you are correctly saying you want to fix everything that was done in the past. Why can't you pick some good things so that you build on? I thank you, Mr. Zaki. I'll send you an SMS.
Thank you very much.
From Mazabuka, Chief Mwanajingwala, Magoye Kalameri.
Thank you, Mr. Gajabe, for that call, and we are grateful. Now, I did say I'm giving you, I think I'll just get 2 more calls now. So let's speak this one. Good morning.
Good morning, Zach, and how are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you, sir?
Yes, this is Peter Zenas. Good morning, Brian Chisengalumbwe.
Good morning, Peter.
I'm coming on this forum.
Yeah.
Yes, if you look at what you are saying, Mbara, it's not everything that you have to condemn. We are talking of Saraula. Some of us, my dear Tinandarama, let I go to Saraula, I buy the clothes that I'll put on myself alone. Then when I'm putting so you don't criticize those things. The other thing I want to come at, the president is bring up the solution. Don't condemn like the previous one has said. Don't condemn everything. Just say this thing, it's happening like this. when we come with it like this, not condemning. Me, I'll tell you this, my dear. Look at the 50,000 workers that were employed. My family, where we are, we were in UPNB, about 4 of us. Right now, we are talking about 10 members of my family are now employed by government. So about 40 members of my family have joined UPNB. That's a plus. They are seeing what is happening. When I come, no, this, they are not doing good, no, this, they are not doing this. It's not good. Tell people what you want to improve, don't condemn. Man. Because don't think that even this issue of saying, no, Zambians, this is Zambian. Tell your followers. Because not everyone will be your follower, not everyone will be the follower of UPN. No, we've got different views and different thinking capacity. So the way you think is not the way I think, is not the way the other person thinks. So just give us guidelines. Say, no, guys, this one is done like this. Me, I'll do it like this. This one is done like this. Because Oromugamba, we talk of debt restructuring. Debt restructuring, my dear, is a drama now. It will be in Zambia. We use the amount that was supposed to be paid. It will be in Zambia paying the same people that are being employed now. But to you, you are condemning. What else are you going to appreciate? Learn to appreciate Chisengalumbwe. Please, you are a Zambian. Sometimes don't mingle with the people that you know every day. Mingle with other people that you don't, so that you hear different views. I raise my case.
Thank you, Peter, for that. And for coming. I'm taking the last call on 0955-221515. This is my last call. You are the last call that we have. Good morning.
Yes, please. Good afternoon.
Good
morning.
afternoon.
It's still morning. Yes,
still
please.
morning.
Yes, Mr. Chisenga, how are you?
Chisengalumbwe.
Yes, Mr. Chisengalumbwe, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. And yourself?
Okay. Yes, I'm okay. Mr. Nienda calling you from Katsina, Lusaka here.
Mianda?
Mianda.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Yes, please. I think for me, even equally myself, I want just to register my disappointment over the opposition political parties that we have in this country. Because are you telling me, Mr. Lumbwe, that the United Party for National Development have done nothing from the time they took office in 2021? If that is what you are saying, then I don't know. Because we talk of free education. The free education, there is no society that can do well economically if you cannot educate the masses. Look at the countries that are doing very well. You have countries like America, Germany, France, whatever it is. The first thing that they do is to educate the society, and this is what the new government has done. Now, let me just come to debt restructuring. When you talk about debt restructuring, I don't know why people struggle to understand to some of these things. Debt restructuring means that you have been given time and relief in order to use that money that you have. This time around, we have been given a relief by the bondholders and the official creditors. That money now should be put in productive activities. In short, what I'm saying is that we need to engage in productive activities, such as what? Enhancing the agriculture sector, enhancing the mining sector, doing a lot of production, the energy sector there, and all such kind of things. And that is the only way we can grow the economy, and that is what the new government is doing. All right? So, Mr. Lumbwe, I think for me, you are misplaced because government is at the center of production. This is why you have seen mining opening up, a lot of industries opening up. There's a steel company which is opening up. The finance minister was on the Sunday interview last Sunday. He said there's a steel industry. It will be one of the biggest companies here in Zambia. All right, that is production, and that is the you can grow the economy. So please, the opposition, let us work together.
Thank you, Mianda.
Thank you so much.
This is it. You respond, we conclude. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's one general thing the last three callers, Wakajave, Peter, and Mianda, share.
Right.
I can first of all say to them, accursed scripture, I think in Jeremiah says, accursed be anyone who trusts in human beings. There is a certain belief in HH there that they all three share, not even in UPND. They believe in the person. I've been discussing ideas here, and I think to a large extent, I've even protected the UPND, where perhaps even the condemnation has been unfair. And I have said that one of the problems with opposition in Zambia is they teach people to hate the ruling party enough to kick them out so that they can squeeze in without any ideas on how to solve the problem. So when I look at the three, I don't think they've listened to what I've said. But I'll deal with their individual issues. First of all, understand this. Free education is bad because it is education given when you are failed to create employment and when you have poor salaries. What you're supposed to have is public education given by the government. Now, public education is when you are talking about everybody being employed, or not everybody, but the majority of citizens are employed, whether in private or, and they pay tax to government. Then government gets that money and provides public education. When you have failed to create employment, you start giving free education. Now, if you don't create any employment and you have debts to pay and whatever, you are in a crisis, you start giving poor education. So a poorly educated person is a type of leadership you started seeing in PF. So when you have a cadre of poorly educated people, no recreation, nothing. All they think about is money. You have leaders that love money and not the people. So free education is theoretically good if it's good education. The quality is good. So in Zambia, and Zach, this is one point you have to also take note of. This free education was rolled out without a plan. Now, the unions, Zambian unions, have been so politicized that a teacher is supposed to have a maximum of 35 students, and the teacher is dealing with 150 pupils in class without an increment in salary. What you go to the Article 8, I told you, discrimination. How can teachers get so low salaries? MPs get such high salaries and they do so much work, probably more than MPs. 150 students, whatever test they write, how much work in terms of preparation and looking after those children. So free education, the principle of education, don't mix it with free education. Free education is bad. You need education where the parents are employed, where the parents can afford to feed their own children, not children to go and eat from school because the parents can't feed their own children. It affects the dignity of the home, the dignity of the man. So, Bami, and I was talking of free education. And any government, anyone who is thrown into government, the worst politician may be even better than the average Christian in church, because the worst politician is talking about going back into office. So one of the best ways in a country where people have been taught to accept free things is to go, if you just create 50,000 jobs, bring cameras and sing, we've created 50,000 jobs. But 7 million people who are supposed to be in employment are starving. 1 million. Yes, you've created. Here is Peter who says that 40 or 50 of his family members. I have the same number of people in my family that have been recruited under UPND. When you are talking about a nation, don't get personal. Your benefits as an individual are not the benefits to everybody. When you go out and you see those drivers of buses, you see the bus conductors and the amount of money they earn, that should be your concern, not how many relatives have been employed. The first one, Wagajabe, he talks about the Zambian opposition. I'd like to agree with him, Wagajabe, because we have a country where people don't believe in anything when it comes to the nation. So how do you expect opposition to function without members' contributions, without members? If it becomes clear that this opposition party is going into government, then everybody comes with their CVs looking for, it's a corrupt nation. Membership of a political party or opposition is on principle. So if you have no principle, you simply wait for 2026 and join it. And by the way, voting is the least important thing in a democracy. It's the least important thing because it's just you go in there and vote. What is important is a sense of belonging, a sense of values, a sense of beliefs. If you join a party, you're not joining as a passenger. The same way we go into church and we decide on the administrative system today. When you give money to a church, you're not giving to the priest. It's an institution. So our parties are Tuntemba. They are not institutions. So we are looking for members. When you become members, we set up the constitution and everything. So you don't follow the leader alone. It's an institution. There was the issue of Salaula. Yes, today you may have Salaula. So if you sit and become comfortable that it's all right to have Salaula, then you have a problem. Yes, today there are a lot of people transacting in Salaula, but as a nation, a responsible nation, you don't want your grandchildren to live under Salaula in future. So you plan today. Have to start changing things that are wrong. What is happened in Zambia is that the abnormal has become normal. The church issuing pastoral letters has become normal. But in a country where the political parties, their moral values are up to the standard of what we have in Article 8, where the leaders have integrity, there is no discrimination, there will be no pastoral letter. The abnormal has become normal, that in every government that comes, there will be pastoral letters. And everybody claps. No, we've got to change a lot of things. And when change comes, I'll conclude with one item. What is missing in Zambia? The fear of suffering. A government that comes in and it's going to change the lives of today's generation and the future, the first thing you will feel is the beginning of suffering. Because suffering produces endurance. When you are able to endure, you become a person who perseveres. When you are able to persevere, you have what is called character. You become a human being. You are a man, not men that are like women. Sorry, when I use women, I'm talking about roles. A man has roles. So when you have character in a nation, it means you are individuals who can stand your ground. You have no fear. You belong somewhere. I belong to this church and I belong to this party because of these values. I'm Catholic because of this. I'm Pentecostal because of this. You protect your values. When it comes to the nation, every citizen has a duty to protect the nation. A country has been destroyed without an external enemy. Gaza, they know why they are suffering. Ukraine, they know. Zambians, why are you suffering? The enemy is internal. And the political party and the political player has a small portion of our problems. I think I can conclude there, but if that's my last remarks, I would like to conclude.
Well, you make your
my
your
conclusion. Yes, weak opposition has no members. So I will give you my number. Anyone who feels touched by what I've been saying, my number is 0977 88478. If you want to help the nation, if you want to help your grandchildren have a sense of belonging politically, not active, there's advocacy. If you say, I heard Chisengalumbwe say this, you are advocating for what you believe in. It's according to your means. If you have no education, you have nothing, just go and vote. If you have education, you are an advocate, go and speak. If you have material things, money, finance, contribute. And we will have parties that are institutions. They don't belong to a clique. You don't discuss a leader, you discuss a party and principles. So my number again, as I conclude, is 0977 884788. Thank you, Zach.
You've been wonderful to have here, and thank you very much for coming. I know it was also at short notice, but on a lighter note, what's with your love on your left hand?
It always reminds me of John 8, verse 31. The truth will set you free. The shirt I'm wearing is our uniform. Zambia today is engulfed with darkness. We've got to push darkness to the periphery of our society. That's why the darkness is in the corners. Until Zambia becomes white and we are truthful, we will never be liberated. Poverty will be part of us. God will punish us. Droughts and so on will have no solution. Let us begin to suffer. Let us not look at government that are throwing money at us. Free this, free that, we shall die. That's the essence of the glove.
When did you start wearing it?
From day one.
Of your political party?
From the day, you see, I have never been in government. So if I came and said something sensible here, and then my name is extremely long, quite irritating. It's extremely long. And so when somebody says there was this fellow who was saying something nice, but I can't remember his name. So to simplify it, I said, just say he was wearing a white glove. So when I reappear, it says, that's the guy who had the white glove. So those of us who want to be truthful and honest, let's all buy gloves and start saying we are part of the United Front.
Mr. Chisengalumbwe, thank you for coming once again.
It's a pleasure, Jack.
Keep shining, and we'll definitely be calling upon you soon, because obviously issues, especially as we head towards 2026, we will have a lot to discuss and alternatives to offer the government in power. But for now, I would like to say I can only wish you all the best.
Thank you, Zach, and thank you to all the listeners.
Well, listeners, thank you very much for having followed our conversation in today's burning issue. We'll certainly be back next week at the same time, but don't forget to make a date with us this Thursday for the Thursday edition of the burning issue. So from us all, it's take care of yourselves and more so of each other, as I thank our partner radio stations, Twitter FM, Spice FM, and Wave FM for having carried this program live on their platforms. So until then, it's bye-bye.
Tune in next week for another edition.